Welcome to Tehachapod, the City of Tehachapi's podcast, where we share conversations with local leaders, business owners, and community members. Don't miss an episode. Be sure to follow and subscribe to learn something new and discover ways to get involved in our community. It's Tehachapod time. Key, Budge, Greg, Garrett. Greg, how are you today?
I'm doing good, Key. Thank you.
It's good to have you back in the co-pilot seat.
There you go. It's been a while.
And mentioning co-pilots, we actually have a pilot with us today.
Not
Greg.
a co-pilot, a real pilot.
A real pilot. And the base commander, Colonel Thomas Tower. Colonel, welcome to Tehachapod.
Thank you. Thanks for having me today.
It's great to have you. You are now our third base commander that has come from Edwards and joined us here in studio. We greatly appreciate it. So thank you very much.
Fantastic. At the end of this, I expect I will ask you, of the three, which is your favorite? So prepare for that question.
Well, since he's here, we can say it's you.
Oh, absolutely,
Right.
yeah.
But there's no pressure. You do see on the mic flag in front of you the two awards that are there.
Oh, I do see that, yeah.
That would be General Heigert and General Wicker.
I see, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, got it.
So there's no pressure, but
they are
both are
award
award
winners.
Yes.
Key, I was just thinking, you know what we should do on the wall here is photos of all the
Award winners?
Well,
Kind of
not
the
just
Hall
that.
of Fame?
Yeah, because we've had the three commanders out at Edwards. We've had Vince Fong, our congressman, Senator Grove, Kevin McCarthy.
Yeah.
You know, we've had some who's who
That's right.
of not just Kern, but the entire nation.
Yeah, names that are being talked about on a national basis.
Right.
Well, Colonel, it's the 250th anniversary of America. And for us here in Tehachapi, it was important for us to acknowledge and celebrate. What was it like being the base commander and the significance of this milestone for the United States?
I was actually really excited to be a part and have the opportunity to speak briefly at our 4th of July celebration that we had on base this year. I think it was a little bit emotionally charged in the aftermath of the terrible tragedy that we recently suffered with the crash of Torch 11. But I think it was, for us, it was an important turning point because it was an opportunity to celebrate. And I think that's one of the things that was challenging for the team is like, when is it okay to celebrate again, right? When is it okay to have fun and just enjoy being around each other and being a part of that community on base? What a special opportunity. So,
And everyone's going to look towards you for that leadership, that nod, that kind of it's time. It's okay. It's got to be the things that are heavy on the heart. You mentioned the crash, and so that had to be a difficult time. And if we can kind of talk about that moment.
Yeah, you bet. So for anybody who's a leader or aspires to be one, I think they would all agree leading through tragedy, specifically leading through fatalities, is the hardest thing you'll ever do. Part of what makes it so hard is that you don't know all of the connective tissue between people in the organization and in the community. What I mean by that is you don't know how everyone knew our fallen teammates. And it's far more complex than just looking at an org chart and trying to assess, who would have known them? No. These were extraordinary Americans who had deep connections all across our test community and across the local community off base. As we prepared for the big memorial service that we had on base that happened 2 weeks after the accident, I reflected on the loss as a whole. I reflected on the impact to the base and how that impacted everyone who works at Edwards. And I reflected on the inherent danger of what we do in the test community. What I was struck by when I started going to individual memorial services, like the one for Vicki Middleton here in Tehachapi, was the depth of these individuals, and the rich lives that they led. It was a stark reminder that that richness exists all over this space, and take the opportunity to appreciate it, take the opportunity to appreciate the relationships that you have with your teammates across Team Edwards.
That's right. So Miles Middleton, he was a local Tehachapi resident, piloted the B-52 program for many years through the Air Force and then Boeing recently, but just a horrible loss for us. But I think Pam, his wife, would completely acknowledge when you're in the business of testing, it's inherently dangerous. And all the people that are in that test realm put their lives at risk every single day. And they do it because there's a love for our country and a love for democracy and freedom. Rogers Dry Lake bed was named after Mr. Rogers, what he crashed in what
Correct.
was it?
Yeah, you can actually zoom out to the namesake of our base, right? Like when you think about Edwards Air Force Base,
right.
Glenn Edwards. I actually have a painting in my office of the YB-49, and that's what he was flying when that aircraft crashed. And it's a reminder to me of the inherent danger of what we
Right.
do every day.
Right.
But
Tough topic, right? It's
Yeah,
a tough topic to really dive down into, and with all due respect to everyone, it was a tragedy. Miles and the other 7 that were lost it's just horrific. There's no way around it. Pam and the son and daughter here in Tehachapi, and the love that Miles Middleton, I heard something the other day that just really hit me hard, and that is, you mean something different to every single person you know. Your influence on them, what people, they know me, they know you, but in a different way. But Miles Middleton was such a special guy. He was Mr. Happy. He had a smile on his face every day, whether it was work or play, and he'd see you come in the room and he would just light up, and it's tough when people pass away, especially with a tragic situation.
Yeah.
So
Not an easy topic.
not at
No.
all.
Thank you
Not at
for
all.
to honor those 8. I think it's important that we recognize, what had occurred and the impact that it is felt throughout the community.
Right.
So, but with that, I want to transition a little into your career and what brought you here, your history with the Air Force, and where you've been, and now as the base commander. You've been in place, is it close to 2 years?
1 year now.
1 year now.
1 year
Okay.
now, yep.
I'm looking at the resume. Holy moly, how many pages
Yes.
of the education and the assignments and the achievements?
It's
Amazing.
It's just big font.
No, it's actually small.
So I've been blessed with the opportunity to do a lot of interesting things in my career, and I would say that most of the interesting things I've been able to be a part of have been due to mentors along the way who have dedicated the time to help make me better and give me candid feedback. I was born and raised in Houston, Texas, and then I went to the Air Force Academy. From there, I actually initially applied to the Air Force Academy to join the class of 2002. Some people ask, like, well, do you have a legacy of military people in your family? In my case, it was not. And in fact, if anything, I think at least at that time, my mother probably was not thrilled that I was interested in joining the Air Force. But I applied to the Air Force Academy, and I didn't get in, in March when most people get in. I got in later on in like May when it was somebody who we really wanted to come turned it down, and here's your chance, reply within 48 hours.
That's all right. That's how it works, man.
Yeah.
Seize the moment.
Yeah, so I jumped on that and had the unfortunate experience of a couple days before I was supposed to in process, I rolled my ankle and I tore all 3 ligaments in my left ankle. And I didn't know what to do. So do I still go? I'm supposed to go. So I show up and I have a walking cast on my foot for in-processing day. And of course, across the board, everyone's like,
what are you doing here?
Why are you even here? Like, what do we do with this kid? I actually made it all the way through the first day of in-processing. And then that night they were like, dude, this isn't going to work. You got to get out of here. So I had the opportunity to apply again. I actually got a what's called a Falcon Foundation scholarship to go to one of the preparatory schools. I went to New Mexico Military Institute for a year in beautiful Roswell, New Mexico. And that helped prepare me dramatically for the Air Force Academy. So as unusual as it is to have applied to 2 different classes at the Air Force Academy, I think it was
Well, that was
probably the
God's
best.
journey for you.
was
He
probably-
said, we need to go here first, and then you can...
This kid
shoot
needs a
for
little
this.
seasoning.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah,
so I'm reading on your resume, between Edwards Air Force Base and Plant 42, which is the Air Force installation in
right.
Palmdale, almost 28,000 people that are working under you, basically. I mean, how do you manage that? You've surrounded yourself with lots of different people. You have the military, of course, and then you have all these contractors doing all kinds of testing at Edwards, including NASA. So maybe we can talk a little bit about that. How do you do? I can't believe you're here today in Tehachapi. You've carved out an hour for us. Where do you get the time to do that?
Well, it is a humbling experience, and it is one of the most complex organizations that I've had the privilege to be a part of, and now the opportunity to lead. I think one of the things that makes it challenging is it's not just focused on test. That's obviously the center of our mission, and that's what we're charged with doing. But it's also all of the support that goes with that, right? It's effectively running a small city there on the base. You know, when you consider, yes, there's all the people that work on Plant 42, but there's also everybody that works at Edwards. Just Edwards is, when you think of who is going through that gate, who lives or works on Edwards proper, that's 12,000 people right there. And all of the support, the infrastructure, the facilities, the homes, everything from childcare to security, that is an immense...
Fresh water, wastewater, recreation. You could just go on and on. It's a city in itself.
Yeah, you guys know this well. Yeah. So
You're a city manager.
Yeah. That's high praise.
Thank
you.
No.
Now, you said that it was 2002 when you had applied. I mean, it's post 9/11. You know, was it 2001?
It was for the class of 2002. So 9/11 was while I was at the academy.
Yeah, that's any impact, from that time and
absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
So I was in the class of 2003. I had a unique opportunity to do an exchange program for 6 months over to West Point, where the service academies in the first semester of your junior year, they exchange cadets back and forth. And so I was actually at West Point on 9/11, and one of the things that was striking to me was how high the smoke billowed up. I mean, we were close enough that on the horizon you could actually see the smoke, and it became very real, right? Because at that point we all knew we were in the military, but all of a sudden it was the first time I had really felt like we're being attacked, right? Like we need to defend ourselves,
right?
And became very real, very very quick, with all the unknowns that come with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we've had some civil wars and everything throughout the years, but this is the first time that really the United States of America, our homeland, was attacked. And that was new to us, completely new. There are wars in South America and Europe and over the decades, centuries, but it was the first time we were attacked. I will never forget that day. It's ingrained into our minds, that's for sure.
Well, I know I was with the LA County Sheriff's Department at the time, and I remember watching TV and watching these incidents take place on TV and telling my wife, I got to get in, because I knew it was beyond just East Coast. This is the United States, and we were, it went to our different levels of security that within local law enforcement. You start checking infrastructure and things that, things could be a target here, and you start thinking like ways that you hadn't thought before.
Well, you think about 9/11, of course it was a surprise to all of us. But what you and your team do at Edwards, you're helping to protect not just the United States, but the entire globe, defending democracy, keeping freedom alive. That's how it works, right? So what you do and your team it's hard to fathom what you're accomplishing at Edwards.
If I could, I'd like to build on that, because one of the things that I did when I got in the seat as commander is, after some careful consideration and the opportunity to talk it through with some of the senior leaders at my base, I made the decision to change our mission and vision statements. Not because we're fundamentally changing what we're doing at Edwards, but because I wanted to focus the team. First, for the mission, I chose the words sharpen American air power. I chose those words, one, because it's 3 short words that are easily memorable for anyone on that base. Easy to remember. What do we do here? We sharpen American air power. And part of why I wanted to do that is because rather than list the multiple different things that we do that are very important to do to make Edwards Air Force Base run, I want everyone to be connected to that mission statement. Whether you are the one flying the plane, you are the one defending the gate, or you are the medic providing care at the clinic, you sharpen American air power. You get that mission done. We are all connected to that same mission. I also made the decision to change the vision to victory forged by test. And the reason I chose those words is because we don't do test because test is awesome and interesting. It is, but that's not why we do it. We do it to win. We do it to deter our adversaries, and if deterrence fails, to win. That whole team is focused on, we do this because we are enabling victory. We are doing this for the warfighter every day.
Mm-hmm. At the City of Tehachapi, we have, I would say, the same vision. Every single job matters. We're fully staffed. We have a balanced budget, and every single position matters to the success of our safe, clean city that people can raise families and can invest in, and so on and so forth. And that vision, those statements for Edwards I applaud you. That's amazing, because we have a support role here at Tehachapi for Edwards. It's cohesive, right? It runs both ways, and we have the same exact vision. So kudos.
Thanks.
Now you have Plant 42 under your command as well.
That's right. Yeah. So Plant 42 is a massive operation. I failed to dig in on that or respond to that piece of your question before. And you're familiar with all the different defense contractors that are down on Plant 42 and the thousands of people that work there every day. We're charged with the base operating support for Plant 42. So think whether it's firefighters, whether it's the defenders that are ensuring the security of those sensitive operations that are happening at Plant 42. And even when we have a first flight, for example, when you see B-21 take off out of Plant 42, well, it's going to land at Edwards. It's coming to us. So it is an immense operation down there. And it actually requires a lot of close coordination with the local community as well, right? Because yes, we can do what we can to defend inside the gate, but we also need the support from our local community to be able to really be careful about what's happening just outside the gate.
No doubt about it. B-21, I read in the newspaper that you guys are ahead of schedule with your testing.
That's right.
That is really cool. Usually things are run over budget and over timelines, but again, kudos to the team.
Yeah, thank you. Really, really proud of that team. They're doing amazing work, and they're charging really, really hard. It mentioned B-21, but if you zoom out from a historical perspective, we won't zoom out too far. But if you think back to, let's say, the late 80s, right? You think, well, that's when B-2 was going through its initial testing, and so the manpower on base. There was a lot of people all working on B-2 development and testing. And then over time, that kind of necked down a little bit. Well, then there was F-22 testing, and F-22 was the new big apex predator in the test world, and the staffing for that picked up, and that was really, really a large number of people that were working that, and then that kind of necked down again. And then F-35 in the early 2000s, going through all of the development with that builds up, right? And then it kind of necks down. What we're going through right now, we are simultaneously developing and testing a new bomber. We are preparing for the stand-up of a new fighter in the F-47. We are actively testing the new trainer, the T-7. We are testing the new tanker, KC-46. We are also testing a new nuclear cruise missile in LRSO. We're testing a new air-to-air missile, the JATM. All of these things are on top of each other. It's a staffing challenge. We are working to hire aggressively to meet the need, but it is also a really, really exciting time to be in test.
No doubt. And I'm sure there's lots more programs that are going on, and including NASA, which is a tenant of you out at the base. So they're doing all kinds of fun things too.
Yeah. I had the opportunity to go over there, climb around on the X-59 a little bit. What a cool airplane. It's kind of a neat technology. There's a lot of interesting, exciting stuff
and even
going on at NASA.
Some private development. Joby. Aviation, the air mobility up on North Base doing some testing too. Or they were. I'm not sure if they're still there, but they were for a while.
They're not there anymore, but and that's an interesting technology when you think about it, because it's something that really could enable distributed logistics in theater, right? When you think about the needs for not just, hey, I'm going to fly a C-17 into the theater full of personnel and equipment. Like, I need to get a smaller, chunk of stuff over here and distributed there and distributed there and distributed there. That's a very interesting technology, and we're thinking through what are the right ways that we could use that type of thing in the military.
Really exciting things happening.
And it's interesting that we've got it being exposed to us, the consumer, and also the military at the same time, where that conversation is taking place. I mean, maybe that's more common than that I know, but I see that conversation talking about it being that Joby technology being used for air taxi and
you bet. These are overlapping technologies, and it's also interesting from a development of the workforce standpoint. So some might say, well, wait a minute, like that doesn't look like a military air vehicle. Like, why are you testing that? Well, why is that happening at Edwards? Well, it's actually a tremendous opportunity for our workforce, because that gives you an opportunity to give them that experience of participating in a test program and gaining expertise on a really unique platform that otherwise they might have not ever seen. And now we have just that much more expertise in our really unique test force. And I think that's actually one of the awesome things about Edwards specifically, from a career perspective, is our workforce is, at least within the 412 test wing, is 70% civilian, which is unique for an Air Force wing. And for those civilians, you have an opportunity to move from one combined task force doing, you might be on a tanker program and then move over to a different combined task force, and now you're working on a fighter, and you might go to a different combined task force, and now you're working on counter UAS technologies. And you can, what a rich career and what an opportunity for interesting advancement all in one place. And I think that's part of why we have this really special workforce at Edwards Air Force Base and in the Aerospace Valley.
Well, challenging people and their minds grow. It helps the programs, but also helps economies, right? Because technologies transfer in and out of military and local economies with technology. And then, kind of roll into City of Tehachapi's support role for Edwards Air Force Base. What do we do in Tehachapi? Well, we're providing a really nice, safe town that your airmen, your employees can visit, can live, those sorts of things. And so we're proud to be a piece of that pie. People have choices. They can live and visit wherever, but I'm proud of the fact that we have such a great relationship with Edwards Air Force Base, and it gets stronger every day.
Yeah, the people who live here on my team, but boy, do they love it. And it's pretty obvious why they do. If you could just pick up Tehachapi and all the surrounding area and just somehow get it closer to Edwards Air Force Base, that would be fantastic.
Well, maybe we could use the air mobility taxis.
Here we go. Now
there you go.
Now we're talking real solutions.
So we need a vertical takeoff at our airport?
Well, we're working on that, actually.
Okay.
So maybe that's a podcast for the future.
Okay.
We've got our airport manager, Ashley Whitmore. She's the president of Association of California Airports right now. And we're working with the FAA and different things, improving our airport because it matters, right? A lot of your employees, Colonel, they live here, as you state, but they also have hangars at our airport. And they like the aviation world, right? They have their private planes, but they're also doing a little testing here and there, tinkering, if you will. But it's really a great relationship that we have, and so proud of it.
Well, I'm sure it's important for your personnel that if they've got in their personal life outside of being on base, if they're able to relax within the community and know that their family is taken care of and safe, that probably even sharpens their ability to work more efficiently.
Yeah, that's part of why I'm very interested in housing. I actually spent all of last week with my civil engineer group commander and my command chief out at the Pentagon advocating for our housing needs at Edwards and in the local community. And one thing we're very excited about is it's called an enhanced use lease. It's effectively leasing land that's in this case, it's right by the west gate. So it's on base property, but it's on the edge of the base property. And what we intend to do is carve out a chunk of that, lease that to a developer so that we can build about 700 to 1,000 homes right there by the gate, adjacent to Rosamond, and have that many more homes that are close to the base and better postured to be a part of our local community that we already have on base. The housing we have on base is great. It's just insufficient. We don't have enough to meet the demand right now. So that's one thing I'm pretty excited about, and there's a number of other housing initiatives that we're working on.
That's very creative and probably first of its kind, I would think. I'm not sure, but very creative. In Tehachapi, we're proud. We have 19 condos, we call them Pinion 19, that are getting ready to hit the market here in the next month or so. And then we have another 96 condos gated. I mentioned condos because a lot of times people that are commuting and highly skilled technical engineers, they don't have a lot of time or the desire maybe to have a 3-bed, 2-bath, mow the lawn, that kind of stuff. So they're going to HOA, that kind of stuff. And then Sage Ranch, Key. We have this large project that has condos, townhomes, and 3-bed, 2-bath sort of thing with clubhouse and swimming pool and all that kind of stuff. So
nice.
we are doing our part as aggressively as we can. That's for sure.
Coming soon.
Yeah. There's any number of issues that bubble up regarding base infrastructure and challenges with living on base. And the more I pick at them, and the more we peel back the onion, somewhere in there, it's connected to housing, right? So one example I like to bring up is our schools. So our schools are on base, are awesome, but unfortunately they're underfunded to the tune of about $5 to $7 million per year. And part of that is connected to federal impact aid. What that means is I have two kids. I live on base. I have two kids that go to the high school on base. Each one of those kids, for the purpose of federal impact aid, they count as 100% of a kid. If I were to live off base and send those same two kids to the high school, each of my kids would then count as 20% of a kid. And if I were a civilian, each of those kids would count as 5% of a kid as far as federal impact aid is concerned. So that's another reason why we're very excited about that EUL opportunity, because now I'm potentially putting another 700 to 1,000 homes on base. And when you think about the composition of our schools, right now, almost 60% of the kids in our schools on base are actually from families of civilians who live off base. So that's why it considerably impacts the funding that our schools get.
That's unique.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem fair.
It's just another one of those things that's
yeah.
connected to housing,
Laws
right?
and- I get it. I totally get it. And the state of California has not made it easy, quite frankly, to build homes for developers. It's not as if the city builds any homes. People, companies, developers build homes. And we've put in a lot of regulations that have hindered and driven the costs of home building up and up and up and up. On one side of the coin, people are saying housing, housing, housing. And the other side, it's more expensive to build homes. And it's not as if the city of Tehachapi is looking to pay paradise. We're looking to grow at the appropriate rate, 1 or 2%, per year.
Right.
Which is very doable, very clean, and very manageable. And we have city limits, and we want to make sure that we fill it in and we can protect the county around us, this beautiful countryside that we call the Tehachapi community. So we have a pretty good plan there, that's for sure.
When you talk about education, I know Edwards Air Force Base, I always talk about the STEM programs. You always have something that you're participating in. There's, helping out local schools. There's so much excitement towards your participation in STEM.
Yeah, so one program that I'm very proud of is our STAR-based program that you might be familiar with, that hosts students from schools around the local community and gives them an opportunity to really have this enriching STEM opportunity. And part of that is some of the technical experts that work across our base in a variety of career fields are a part of that and have the opportunity to teach the kids about what it is that I do here at Edwards Air Force Base. I'm also excited that I think it's not complete yet, but it looks like we're going to have the opportunity to open up an entire second classroom for that. So that will also enhance the throughput that we can do for that program.
That's really cool. And the Air Force Foundation, they have a great museum inside the gate. I know that they're working on building a much larger museum outside of the gate. So if you're ever interested in participating or helping that project move forward, the Air Force Foundation is always open, willing, and a great group of people that are. And Edwards has so much to share, all these different airplanes and the different stories. And I've been to Wright-Patterson, the Air Force Museum there, and it's mind-boggling, kind of like the Smithsonian. It's mind-boggling. But we have a lot to share here locally, so let's get on board and help those people too.
What did you like best at the Air Force Museum?
Oh, well, all of the above. Actually, we had a dinner underneath some of the heavy iron there in one of the big hangars.
Oh, that's cool.
I want to say B-50, different. I don't know what it was. It was like 30 years ago. Wow, dating myself here, Keith, but super special evening dinner in one of the hangars underneath the airplanes, and there was so much to see and so much to take in. I was drinking from a fire hose.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
It's overwhelming.
Really cool.
Yeah. My favorite part of it is there's one section, I think it's in like the fourth hangar. It's the back hangar, the farthest one back, that has all the flight test unique aircraft. And it was just like a kid in a candy shop back there. And it was fascinating to like how on earth did this thing fly? Like, oh my God. Before I went to test pilot school, I had the opportunity to go to the Air Force Institute of Technology to get a master's degree. And while we were there, one of the projects we did on one of my classes was like, hey, we're going to go to this flight test corner of the museum. Each of you is going to brief what are the unique test components of this aircraft? What were the technical objectives? Why did we even bother building this thing? What were we trying to learn? And then how did it work? And it was fascinating just learning about all the different aircraft.
You can see he's so excited.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, we're videoing this, so it's cool.
We
Maybe
are.
we can put it up. So this really is a hot button. That's cool. Yeah, for
Exciting
sure.
stuff. There's your promo for the
There
Air Force Museum.
There you go. And we've talked about Edwards, of course, Plant 42, but Mojave Spaceport, China Lake, what we have going on here in East Kern County is like no other, with the R2508.
That's our airspace.
Which is the airspace, and the working together with the Navy and the civilians, and just everybody is just getting along so well and clicking, and it's like a glove in a hand, and it just fits perfectly with everything that's going on.
You mentioned the range, and I'm thankful for the partnership, particularly with like our Navy teammates up at China Lake that we share the range with, but we also share the range with many, many other entities that aren't necessarily underneath the range, but they come in from elsewhere to use the national treasure that is the R2508 complex. R2508, when you think about it, if you take a look at the whole thing, it's about 150 miles tall by, I don't know, probably like 70-ish miles wide. And you can do a lot of awesome things in that type of an airspace. But what's really powerful is the ways we're connecting the other adjacent airspaces. So you can think about the Sea Test range down over the Pacific. Then you have the Nevada Test and Training Range. And then you have the Utah Test and Training Range. And we are now doing test events where we are literally connecting all of these airspace. And how do we connect not only through data links and ensure that things work at those representative distances that we're going to need to be able to operate across in a high-end conflict, but also like how do we test weapons that go a really long way? And that involves multiple ranges. It's a tricky business.
Really amazing things that are happening right under our nose.
Exciting times to be in test.
For sure.
Now, have you had the opportunity to go to our glider port?
I have. Yeah. In fact, my first opportunity to fly at the glider port was when I was a student at Test Pilot School. And I came out here for some of the curriculum sorties, which gliders were the first airplanes I flew. That was the first thing I flew at the Air Force Academy.
Perfect.
And I think there's something pure about it, and it's so quiet. Like I remember thinking like, well, where are our headphones? Like, how am I going to talk to this guy in the back? And then it's just like, oh, we can just talk like this. Like that's awesome. My son is 16 and he's interested in learning to fly, and I'm actually probably this next weekend. Actually, we're planning on getting started and coming up here and getting him immersed and start doing a couple of glider flights to see if that's see how he likes it. So.
Did you ever catch the Sierra Wave?
I was never talented enough to see the maybe you guys have this skill, but people that are really good at seeing the all the thermals and being able to catch all that, and I was like, I don't know. Like I'm not experienced enough with gliders to be real good at it.
It's funny, on the weekends, there's a lot of gliders, sailplanes, flying around, and they're just like the ravens. They just kind of circle, and they just go higher and higher, and they linger over my house. I think they're spying on me. I'm not sure. But it's so crazy. It's a talent, that's for sure. It's a feel to get in a thermal and stay in a thermal.
Yeah. Someday I'll have those skills. It's going to be great.
Fun stuff, yeah. Well, you don't need, if you've got the jet right under your seat of your pants, you just push it up.
Yeah.
Now, what is the difference in that feel? Going from, like you talk about the quietness of being in a glider, and then all of a sudden you get to go fast.
Yeah, it's the opposite of quiet. It is quite loud. I started in F-16s, which I still love, and I will maintain that I think it's the most fun airplane to fly.
The Ferrari of the skies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right. I had that opportunity to do a lot of awesome missions in the F-16. It's an amazingly capable aircraft, but it's also just fun to fly. Nowadays, I'm flying F-35, and F-35 is a remarkable airplane because a lot of what it does well is the fusion of when I was in an F-16 and you have to sort of mentally stitch together, well, I see this on this sensor and I see this on this other screen from a different sensor, and you're trying to kind of stitch all this together to get the collective picture of what's on the ground and what's in the air. F-35 just does that for you. When it works well, it makes it a little easier.
Flying computer.
Yeah, it's kind of nice.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, even a colonel can figure it out.
How much airtime do you get now?
I'm normally flying once a week.
Okay.
As long as I'm not traveling to the Pentagon like I did last week. I'm actually flying tomorrow, so looking forward to that. Yeah.
So you've flown, the B-2, the B-1, B-52, KC-46, KC-135, C-17.
The stuff that I have the most time in is, of course, going to be your F-16 and now F-35, and then some of the aircraft that I came up training in. Like a T-38, even to date myself, flew a T-37 before that. We don't fly those anymore. But the laundry list of other aircraft that I've had the opportunity to fly was in Tehachapod school, right? And that's one of the really unique things that's just awesome about that school. And man, Tehachapod school is, I wish I could go back through test pilot school. Like the curriculum today is like really, they have done some awesome things to modernize the curriculum and make sure that it is truly preparing our testers to go be effective in our test enterprise. And I think one of the things they're doing a great job with is it's right in their mission statement. We don't just develop testers, we develop test leaders. I need people that are going to get out there, they're going to know how to do the JOB, but they're also going to have the skills to work as a team. Because just being technical, not that that's not important, like being able to have those skills is critical for what we do, but working together as a team is really the most important component, and TPS does a great job of preparing our testers for that as well.
And you're including our allies.
Yeah.
People that are from other countries around the world that are strong allies of ours, they're allowed to participate in the test pilot school, and they take that technology and those leadership skills back to their country because we need to work together. The United States can't do it alone.
That's right. And it's also an acknowledgement from our allies that, like, hey, we really value what you guys teach at this school, right?
They
like
don't have what we have.
We want that for our folks,
Right.
so that we can do our own test.
It's a major compliment, that's for sure.
Yeah. Really proud of that team at Tehachapod School.
So much going on.
From us, our standpoint here at the City of Tehachapi, how can we be even more supportive of the mission and supporting Edwards Air Force Base?
Yeah, great question. So I think Tehachapi is already doing a lot, right? And one of the things that you mentioned earlier is what can we do to expand safe, available, and affordable housing for our teammates at Edwards Air Force Base. There's a lot of people that are interested in living in Tehachapi, and just making sure something's available for those folks that's really one of the most powerful things we can do right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're working on it, and we have festivals every weekend and different things, parades and wine walks, and all kinds of things that But in addition to that, we have great healthcare, we have great schools, we have great recreation. And Tehachapi is full of volunteers that all care about different things, and they work so well together. It's a very unique community, and we're proud to support you and your team, that's for sure.
Thank you for what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know it was probably maybe 2 years ago. The base was looking, they had over, I want to say it was like 2,000 jobs that were trying to be filled. Recruitment, is it still that kind of a staggering number?
Yeah, so right now we have gone through a couple of bumps along the way. And some of those were, you may recall that the Department of War went through what was called the Deferred Resignation Program last year. That gave civilians the opportunity to separate if they wanted to, with some incentives to do so, as our leaders at Department of War were trying to right-size the force. Unfortunately, that is impacting us now because I talked earlier about the number of programs that we have all simultaneously. There is an unprecedented demand for the service we provide for the warfighter right now. And so we're doing everything we can to aggressively hire. I expect, and that's also part of why we're focused on housing right now, is because I have on the order of, with the new programs that are coming in the next 2 years, I expect to have another 800 civilians and another 300 military that I need to find a place to put them, whether it's on base or in the local community. That is a bow wave that is coming our way, and I don't see that stopping anytime soon.
And you also are always looking for contractors, local contractors, to fill the needs, whether it's painting or electrical or HVAC. And there's a nice lady that attends our local EDC meetings every month, and then the East Kern Economic Alliance also. But she's always promoting the fact that there are so many opportunities for contractors on base to be hired and do a certain job. And so we're always trying to help her promote that also.
Yeah, I think the importance of some of those positions was never more stark for me than during the last government shutdown. That I think it was 42 days. I think it was on the order of about that. And for the first couple of weeks, hey, we can kind of keep things going. We'll triage what we're going to keep doing and what we're not going to keep doing. After a while, it was some of those skilled trades positions like electricians and HVAC that were the hardest to keep operational, right? And it is a very stark reminder of how important those jobs are. You want to keep it, like, that's cool that you think you need to go fly this airplane. You better have electricity in this building, right? Like, we got to be able to do the basics well. And that is, and I shouldn't even use the term basics, because that is still a complex business.
Well, that circles right back to what we were talking about earlier. Every job matters.
Yeah.
Right. And you're running a city.
And the military, and I know specifically with Edwards, supporting local business. There's opportunities if you own local business that you can play a support role with the base.
Yeah, absolutely. We're always looking for opportunities to partner with local businesses. There's an immense need from the base. The demand signal is definitely there.
Colonel Tower, I want to be very respectful of your time, and I know we're pushing that. We've had you here for about an hour, so I want to ask you, is there anything else that we haven't talked about that you'd like to mention that would be help support the mission?
I tell you what, so I think it's been a fulsome conversation, and we have hit on the things that I think were most relevant and important to talk about. The piece I'd like to close with as a reminder is it is a really exciting time to be in test, right? I listed the many programs that we're doing right now. The demand signal to do that work is immense, and the focus for everyone on that base is on the warfighter. How do we deliver capability now so that we can sharpen American air power and achieve victory forged by test?
Outstanding. Colonel Tower, thank you for the time. We greatly appreciate it. You're now the third base commander. I think I mentioned it earlier, but to visit us here in studio and to share and give us the updates of what's going on at Edwards Air Force Base, it's important to us. Greg, you talk about it all the time, the importance of being there for Edwards and for us to make sure that we remember that it's a short drive away, but we have an impact. And it's our mission to be a part of your community as well.
Yeah.
Greg, anything in closing?
I just, thank you for what you do. I'm very proud to be an American and be part of, supporting what you guys do to keep the entire globe safe.
Thanks for your support.
Yeah.
Means
My
a lot.
dad was in the Air Force, and I was born on a military base, an Air Force base in Taiwan when we had one there. And my nephew is currently an instructor in the PJ school in Arizona. So the Air Force is near and dear. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
And a big thank you to Mary. Mary, your team, who's in the background, has been coordinating with myself. And so thank you very much for taking the time and making it so easy to make this happen.
Mary's fantastic.
Yeah, for sure.
Folks, you've been listening to Tehachapod. I'm Key Budge. Greg Garrett has joined me along with Colonel Tower. It's been a fun conversation. Should you have any questions about any of the topics that we've talked about, you can send it to media@TehachapicityHall.com. We will forward it off to Colonel Tower's team, or if it's something for us, we'll be more than happy to answer. We appreciate the time you spend with us, and we'll catch you again soon right here on Tehachapod. You've been listening to Tehachapod. If you have a question, a thought, or a suggestion, email media@TehachapicityHall.com. We'll catch you again soon right here on Tehachapod.